We've got an absolute jam-packed episode today. Whether you want to hear about the fast lanes or the ice rink over to the hardwood and, of course, the ballparks, we've got you covered. So stay tuned because the Norse Benchwarmers podcast starts now. Welcome back to the Norse Benchwarmers podcast. I'm your host, Colton Smith, here joined by producer Josh Northcutt and co-host Ben Miller. Boys, how was our weekend?
It was an eventful one. Sunday, as you can see, went to the PGA Championship, put in about 28,000 steps.
Only?
So, yeah, only 28,000. So a little pain the next day, but all in all, not bad.
Yeah, for myself, pretty much just worked as always on the weekends. Went for a run on Sunday, so
Nice.
it was nice.
Well, runs are always good. I never do them, but when there's a few times I get a run in, it always feels good. But as you can see, I got a little sun, did some mowing, and got a haircut, if anybody wondered. But
Haircut's pretty obvious.
yeah, if you didn't notice, it's a little different. But anyways, we had a jam-packed week and a very busy weekend in sports, as starting with the NASCAR All-Star race. Joey Logano kind of had a wire-to-wire win there. But there's somebody else who kind of took the show. Ricky Stenhouse and his anger management issues stole what would be the headlines for NASCAR this week. And we actually have a Norse Benchwarmers podcast first here, a replay. Garrett, show it up here. We'll give a little play-by-play too. All right, so as you can see here, Kyle Busch, turns the 47 there. And for context, the 47 ran the 8 into the wall, or at least ran 3 wide a lap before. This is all on like lap 2 of the race.
Way too
and
early.
Runs him in there. All right, we're talking. Bam! Right in the face. Ricky Stenhouse had no intentions of talking to Kyle Busch and just absolutely gets him. I don't know if he even landed the punch, to be honest, but there he is. They fall over the tire. And wait, where's everyone going? Where's everybody going? And the camera finally moves. And there we go. There's Ricky's dad. He gets shoved out of there. And then there he is. Hulk angry.
The whole
Get off my truck.
Off my hauler. Off my hauler. I mean, I would not want to see that guy in a bar fight. Good gosh. I'm not messing with that man, but what a event. I mean, I feel like Ricky Stenhouse just from the second he got dumped knew what he was going to do, did not care what Kyle Busch said. But what do you think?
for myself, at first I thought Stenhouse didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I felt like he gave Kyle Busch plenty of room, and looks like Kyle Busch bounced off the wall into Stenhouse. But I feel like Stenhouse making it 3 wide when it was literally the start of the race, I feel like that was inappropriate and that was not acceptable. So, yeah, I can see where Kyle Busch is coming from for sure.
Personally, for me, I'm just happy Ricky Stenhouse was a man of his word and
Correct.
flat out told his crew chief, we don't have the clip, he parked in Kyle Busch's pit lane and turned to the crew chief and basically said, "Oh, I'll be back later." He came back later, and he was a man of his word, and he swung on him. Old school NASCAR at its finest.
Absolutely. We love to see it. Yeah, I agree that it was definitely very early to throw it 3 wide, but at the end of the day, that is how Ricky Stenhouse races. I think there's definitely 2 sides to blame there. I don't think it's all on one side. It's just a little Rubbins racing type deal, stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see how that develops. He apparently announced that he will not be wrecking Kyle Busch at Charlotte, which is what you would say.
I mean, yeah, because he's already facing the rumor suspension, which I think all three of us agree no suspension's needed.
No, I feel like NASCAR kind of egged this on. Like, you know, he already said it, and you don't, and you said it before the show, but you don't have security there ready for this fight that's about to happen. That Ricky Stenhouse is already, even if it doesn't happen, like.
Yeah, no, this NASCAR got what it wanted. So,
Exactly.
no, there should be no suspension. Now, if he dumps him at Charlotte, even though he said he's not going to dump him at Charlotte, we may need to talk about suspension.
That's when it starts becoming bullying.
but even then, this is NASCAR. Like, this is what they do. You wreck me, I wreck you, and then we just move forward. And unless you're Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin, and neither one of you ever let it go, I mean...
Yep, exactly. But we'll see how this all develops. I love a good little rivalry starting up in NASCAR. But,
Absolutely.
NHL conference finals are coming up. I actually tuned in to a hockey game, guys. It's actually insane. The Oilers beat the Canucks last night. Gave the Canucks they made it hard on them. It started out 3-0 in the favor of the Oilers, but the Canucks, I fell asleep, but they ended up coming back.
Yeah, it was a good game, especially third period. I thought we were going to have maybe another 3-goal comeback by the Canucks, but just wasn't ready to be called. And now the best player in hockey, Connor McDavid, will be taking on the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Finals.
And then in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's the Rangers. They survived. There was what it ended up being, was it 3-3 or 3-2 series against the who'd they play? The Hurricanes.
Hurricanes. Yeah. They it was a 4-2 final series.
Okay, so they ended up just ending it off that game. I remember we were speculating they might blow a 3-0 lead or something, but so Rangers are going up against the Panthers.
Yes.
How about that series?
It is going to be a fantastic series. Two of the best teams in the East. They've been the best teams all season long. The thing that's interesting about both these series, not to go back to the Western Conference one, is so the Rangers were 30-11 at home. However, Florida was 26-11-4 on the road. So you have the second best road NHL team versus the second best home NHL team. Something's got to give there. And then in Edmonton, they were 28-9-4 at home, third best in the NHL. However, Dallas is 26-10-5 on the road. So both these teams, or really all four of these teams, protect home ice and also can win on the road. So it will be interesting to see. I think for both series, it just comes down to goaltending. Plain and simple, all four of these teams can put up shots. For me, it's going to be Dallas and Ottinger, Jake Ottinger, fantastic goalie. Edmonton had Skinner and also their third, Calvin Pickard. So they were using two goalies in the series. That's not going to work for Dallas. You got to go with one goalie and just ride it out. Meanwhile, Florida and the Rangers goalie play, you got Bob and you got Igor, two top goalies maybe in all of hockey. So it will be interesting to see. I lean Florida in that one due to the third line of Sam Bennett, Evan Rodriguez, and Eetu Lusterin. Should be a phenomenal series. And I know you'll be concentrating on basketball, but if one of those days your teams isn't playing, I recommend tuning in and watching some hockey.
Yeah, hockey's a sport I really need to get into. But to your point, you're saying these are a lot of very evenly matched teams in terms of home and away. I really love series like that in any sport where it really just comes down to the best team. Who's the best team in a 7-game series, and home or away don't affect that.
Yeah, I was watching the Oilers and what was the other
Canucks.
team? Canucks. Yeah, it looks like Edmonton was going to win it easily though, but the Canucks they were coming back. I mean, they made it interesting down the stretch, and I was hoping they would come back and tie it up, but unfortunately that did not happen. So after last night, I like hockey for sure.
Yeah, as somebody who has some money on Dallas, I was kind of preferring the Canuck matchup because they were definitely down to their third-string goalie. Their first two were injured, but Edmonton just does what Edmonton does, and Connor McDavid, that dude is special. If you want to watch somebody who just flies on the ice and can control a puck like nobody else in the NHL, it's Connor McDavid.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the Women's College World Series is coming up. Oh, also on those games, the NHL, that starts Wednesday, right?
Yes. Okay. Wednesday will be the Eastern Conference Final, and then Thursday will be the Western Conference.
There you go. So if you're interested in tuning in, go ahead and check those out. But back to the Women's College World Series, as it was quite an interesting first week. I will be honest, I didn't quite get to catch as many games as I would have liked to, but one thing I did catch on to was the Southeastern Louisiana Tigers or Lions. The Lions. Garrett, you're from Louisiana. Where are these guys located? A little trivia question for you.
I will be blunt.
You're like 5, so
I will be
fair.
blunt. I have no idea. I have no
All right.
idea.
They hail out of Hammond, Louisiana, and they defeated Clemson, Power 5 school, not once but twice before losing to Bama in the final. Play for the Super Regional start May 23rd. Was there anything you guys saw from this first week of games?
Didn't get to watch any of it, I'll be honest with you, with all the other sports going on.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to point out everything was a little bit chalky.
That's what I noticed.
Yeah, Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida, Oklahoma State, UCLA, Missouri, Stanford, LSU, Duke, Georgia, Alabama, Florida State, Texas A&M, all defended their home field to win. The only two quote-unquote upsets were Arizona and Baylor took down Arkansas and Louisiana.
For myself, I haven't really been keeping up a whole lot with the College World Series, but a region that's caught my attention is the Austin region with Texas, Senta. Is that how you pronounce it? Siena?
Texas Siena, probably, yeah.
Okay. Siena, Northwestern, and St. Francis. I feel like Texas, they've been the most complete team all year, so I feel like they can make a deep run in this tournament for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So what are some matchups you guys are looking for in this super regional round? I know I'm looking forward to the Texas versus Texas matchup, Texas and Texas A&M. That should be a good one. You know, you had a little back and forth. I bet the crowds will be great. I don't know where that's located, but I think that'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, that was actually my choice. Was Texas A&M. Anytime you get that rivalry, no matter what sport it is, you know Texas is going to be the state of Texas is going to be tuning in.
Yeah, I'm going with Texas and Texas A&M as well. I mean, I just like what you guys said. I feel like this is going to be a great matchup between these two squads.
To throw out another one, I like the Mississippi-Duke matchup. I felt Duke was a little underseeded looking at their record, looking at some of the teams they beat, and they were only like a 10 seed. So I like to see how if Duke can kind of make a run as a lower seed in this tournament. But it'll be interesting to watch. Hopefully, I'll be able to get to watch some more games before we head off to England. But sticking in the college sports realms, NKU men's baseball has a big week coming up. They completed the season with a series win against Wright State, finishing just one game away from the 1 seed. They seem to have found that hot bat that they kind of lost in the middle of the season there. Since we last talked about them, they have scored no less than 8 runs in a game. And we're still waiting to see who they face in the Horizon League tournament on Thursday, unless that has been announced. I'm not sure. Probably find out some point today. But yeah, Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, great momentum to end the regular season with a series win over the number 1 ranked team in the Horizon League, Wright State. That's 3 in a row they've won in the Horizon League series-wise. They beat Youngstown State, Purdue Fort Wayne, and like I mentioned, Wright State. And they're seeded number 2 in the Horizon League tournament, and they either play the winner of Oakland versus Youngstown State.
Okay.
I will admit, Oakland, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, they're a good team.
Absolutely.
They've been a top 3 team in the Horizon all year. But overall, I like our chances, though. We have a really good offense on this North squad, and I feel like that we can make some noise in this tournament to punch our ticket to the big dance.
Yeah, I like how the Norse finished the season with a Wright State series victory. That's a team that we will likely have to face not once but twice, unless we beat it maybe. But you know, I really like that we ended off on such a high note. Hopefully that continues, that momentum continues throughout the series. Yeah. So the winner's circle, that's what's on the docket now. I'll let you guys go ahead and start if you want. Ben, do you have one? Garrett, I know, has one. Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm going with Team Penske sweeping the front row for the Indianapolis 500. This is the first time since 1988 that Team Penske has swept the front row, dating back to Rick Mears, Al Unser Sr., and Danny Sullivan. And I want to give a shout out to pole man Scott McLaughlin, 234.220 miles an hour, fastest 4-lap average in Indy 500 history. How about that, boys?
That's as fast as I used to run on the mile in high school.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's cool and all, but let's be honest. The man stealing the headlines in Indy is the man going for the duo or the combo or whatever you want to call it, and it's Kyle Larson. Mm-hmm. Starting 5th. Cannot wait to see what he can do there. However, my winner circle nominee is Mr. Devers, Rafael Devers to be exact, for the Boston Red Sox. He set the Red Sox record with home run in 6 straight games. The record is held by Dale Long, Don Mattingly, and Ken Griffey Jr. of 8. Rafael Devers, thank you for carrying my fantasy team for the last 7 days. Keep it up.
My winner this week is going to be the state of Indiana.
Oh, boy.
I mean, come on now. It's a great time to live in the corn. How about those Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals? We'll, of course, talk about them later. Topping a completely healthy, not injured at all, Knicks squad. Not to mention we have been sent to the promised land with a crazy young duo of Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Yet to win a game yet, but we'll get there once we're not playing literally like finals contenders. On top of all of that, the Indy 500 is this weekend. I mean, what more can you ask for in the corn?
A win. You could ask for a win.
We got wins.
The
We just won 2 series.
The Fevers didn't.
Well, they're not all of Indiana. We'll get a win. We'll get one here soon. But for sure, we'll talk more about WNBA later on. But yeah, for sure, it's a great time to live in the corn. Let me tell you, we are better than those other corn states like Nebraska and Iowa. Y'all don't got nothing to hope for. We got everything. We got Tyrese. We got everything. But Garrett, take it away before I just get carried away.
All right, gentlemen, after that little tirade, my candidate for the winner's circle this week, and I would like to bring a bit more golf into this show. So my candidate this week is Xander Schauffele, who's finally gotten over that illustrious hump with his victory this past weekend at the PGA Championship at Valhalla, which Josh was at.
Yes, I was there.
It's his first major victory after having 13 top 10 finishes in 28 major starts in his career, including 2 second-place finishes, one at the 2019 Masters and at the 2018 Open. On top of it being his first major, he shot a 21 under through 72 holes, the lowest score of any major in history, birdieing the final hole of the tournament to secure a one-shot victory, over Bryson DeChambeau. So, congrats, Xander. You welcome to the upper echelon of golf.
Yeah, so that is the perfect one and was actually going to be my lead choice as well. He finally got off the schneid, or whatever you want to say, the proper term of that, of him finally winning one. And it was funny, though, because he was always considered, is he the next Phil Mickelson? The dude's 30. He had plenty of time to win one, but he finally got one done, and it's probably going to roll over. However, he didn't exactly have the whole show for the week. There was another big incident
Moving
that occurred.
on to the loser's circle.
Well, the loser circle won't be this gentleman.
Okay.
However, there was a certain incident that Scotty Scheffler decided to get arrested.
Look at Scotty.
So the Louisville police decided to arrest Scotty, and Scotty's arraignment has now been delayed until June 3rd. No body cam of the incident that happened.
I can't wait to see that picture on a T-shirt.
Oh, they're everywhere already. Man, walking around Louisville, I'm not kidding, man. People were wearing free Scotty. The day of. The day of, people were wearing orange jumpsuits with free Scheffler on the back. They're just running with it. The only thing that was missing was Scotty not wearing orange. Wow. But I know he wants to kind of run from it and everything else. But,
of course.
So he is facing...
He likes to run things.
Oh, Jesus. Scheffler faces charges of second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. The assault is a felony charge. Gentlemen, I get golf is not very good at highlighting its top-tier players, but is there any other sport that the star player, number one player in the world, would get arrested and we would actually hear about it, Ben?
I mean, to be honest, that's a absolutely tough question to answer. So
cool.
There's one that's coming to mind, but I can't think of it. So it's coming to mind, but it's not coming to mind.
Yeah, for me, say that's Mike Trout, say that
I was gonna say MLB would probably be one that would.
Yeah, say that's Shohei Ohtani. They would have just maybe a slap on the wrist and let him go.
Mm-hmm.
You arrested the best golfer in the world, the man who's on a run that we haven't seen since Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
that
can be two things.
Yeah,
that can mean two things.
But it's insane to me, and I don't know. He's gonna walk free though. The Magic body cam not being on. Yeah, well, you know.
Technically, the rap game, the top guy is having some legal issues right now.
Fair enough.
If you consider that a sport. But that's the winner's circle for today with a little golf conversation. We got a little extended time to talk about baseball for the first time in a while here. should we just start with the Reds? Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah, let's
I
get
don't
the-
even know what more there is to say. There's nothing from last week really changed this week, if you ask me. We did actually get a game against the Dodgers, which is one more game than I thought we would get. But what did you guys see from this week?
For me, it was 1-2 versus the Diamondbacks, 1-3 versus the Dodgers. Gave up the first walk-off to Shohei Ohtani in a Dodger uniform. However, a little plus, they did snap the Dodgers' 22 straight game of allowing 4 runs or less. So they did put up some runs, but they're just bad.
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, just a bad season. And like I mentioned last week, we're missing those key players to those injuries. But last week, obviously, series losses to both Arizona and the LA Dodgers, losing to walk-offs or by one run, excuse me. Just looking at these stats here, Steers last 7 games, 5 strikeouts, and with a batting average of 0.83.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Will Benson with a batting average of 190, 7 strikeouts. Fraley with a 143 average and 8 strikeouts. Everybody is getting struck out, and I was hoping these guys are going to would step up to fill those roles for the players who are injured, but unfortunately it's just not happening, and it's a rough time to be a Cincinnati Reds fan right now.
So,
Still last in hitting.
yeah, they're going to be there for a while.
Four behind the White Sox. So the White Sox just might suck so bad that we get to 31st.
Yeah.
After that, it's a long climb to work our way back up.
So, Garrett, 2 weeks ago, you said you weren't hitting the panic button, waving a flag, blah, blah, blah. You hitting it yet?
Yeah, I'm hitting it now. Yeah, no, this is bad. This is really bad. Like I said last week, this West Coast trip is one that can make or break you. My goal for them was to hopefully go 4-6, a game under 500. I don't think that gets you completely out of it, but the fact that you had one good game against the Dodgers and then basically got swept by them. So you're behind right now, and you've dug yourself a hole, and they don't have the offense to get out of it. I mean, right now our offense is Ellie De La Cruz getting on base, stealing second and maybe third, and Tyler Stevenson getting some timely hitting. After that, there is nobody that is producing at the plate, and that's a problem. You can't have that.
Well, it's ironic you bring up Ellie. So Ellie came out after he went
here we go.
4 for 4, 3 runs, 1 RBI, and 4 stolen bases in game 1. And he comes out and says, "This is my city." Does anybody want to guess?
What happened after that, Josh?
Yeah, does anybody want to guess how many hits he had the rest of the series? Ben?
I didn't even check his
Probably.
stats.
Just
to be
guess.
honest.
How many hits? 13 point appearances. How many hits?
6?
Okay.
0.
He had 0.
Oh.
0 for 13. Didn't find one hit after he goes, "This is my city."
Well, Paul George, he said Indianapolis was his city, and then he just left.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, all I know is, one, I warned you, he's going to LA. It's signed, sealed, delivered. Once he's not a Red anymore,
Right.
he's going to be a Dodger.
I saw something where he's not going to commit to a long-term deal with the Reds as well.
Yeah, basically. So
Interesting.
Yeah. So 0 for 13. LA, can we just not do that and just continue just to play baseball, steal our bases, get some base hits? But to just recap the final bit of it, the Reds are now 0-7-1 in the last 8 series. It has been a month since they won a series. 7-19 in that stretch. And they have the Padres, the Dodgers, and Cardinals coming up. Wink, wink. Hint for the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, I just want to close this. We got some more MLB stuff to talk about, but I want to close this by saying I do find it interesting that Garrett is now hitting the panic button, because you even admitted 2 weeks ago, and we all agreed with this, that we were kind of expected the West Coast swing to not go well.
Right.
Like we saw
never
that
does.
coming, but now here we are, and now we're hitting the panic button. I think just I was hitting the panic button pretty much, just silently at that point. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think is there just a way that they played through the West Coast swing that made you change your mind, or what is it?
No, they've just been historically bad when they go out on West Coast trips. The West Coast has never favored Cincinnati.
Right.
So I was hoping maybe this time would be different. Maybe they saw where they were at in the standings and said, okay, we really have to step it up. We have to make this West Coast trip ours, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, let's look at some of the other MLB news going around here. Ronell Ronel Blanco.
Blanco.
I know that. I should know that. He is suspended 10 games for the use of rosin mixed in sweat on a non-pitching hand, and all I have to say is, an Astro cheating? What?
Yeah, I mean, as I was doing research on this topic last night, it was absolutely crazy. I mean, sticky stuff for a glove? Since when do we hear that? I don't understand.
It's actually become pretty big in baseball.
I was going to say,
It's
this happens quite often.
Yeah, Trevor Bauer has always been accused of it, and
Okay.
it's kind of been the running joke with his success. But they now randomly check the pitcher. I want to say it's twice a game when they come off the field, just randomly.
Yeah.
They'll check their palms and they'll check their glove to see if they're sticky stuff.
I didn't think it was randomly. I thought it was after every half inning. I thought they just checked them when they
Yeah,
came off the field.
they check them every time. I
Oh,
believe.
I'm gonna say I thought it was a random check, so I apologize.
Yeah, I believe it's every inning because I remember noticing that in one of the early Reds games. I asked, but yeah, I mean it's interesting. Is it kind of just like a trying to do like the old pine tar stuff on the hat? Is it just kind of a okay they've nicked that kind of?
Yeah.
Want to try something new?
Yeah,
type
I mean
stuff?
the sticky stuff obviously helps the pitcher, but I'll cover that a little bit later. Ben, you got more thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, with this 10-game suspension, I feel like the Astros, they're losing a key part of their team. I mean, this dude, he was 4-0 with an ERA of 2.09 in 8 starts.
Well, putting a
So-
little sticky stuff on your hands might help you with that.
He also threw a no hitter. Mind you, this guy was like,
Yeah.
I follow
An
baseball.
absolute nobody.
Yeah, I was about to say, you said it perfectly. I've never heard of this guy before this year,
Neither have I.
and magically now he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Mm.
How long has this been going on? Has he been hiding it better? And the most suspicious part of it all is he has turned around and decided not to even try to fight it. Everybody,
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
say, Garrett, you can vouch for this. Everyone tries to fight the suspension to get it from 10 to 7 or 10 to 5. Little situation of, oh, we're just not even going to bother fighting it.
Yeah, no. Usually when a player gets suspended, about 99% of the time, there's an appeal for that suspension. And it didn't happen here, so it seems like he's finally just saying, yeah, you caught me. You got me. But one thing I did want to point out, and this is what I heard on another podcast that I listened to, is that
You listen to other podcasts?
whoa, what? What I heard is that even though he was using that sticky stuff, it was predominantly, from what I heard, the argument was that he was just using it to grip the ball better, and the complaints from hitters come when they see that spin rate on the pitches jump up. And if you look at the empirical data, his spin rate jumps maybe like single digits, like RPMs wise. Like, it doesn't jump that much at all. So the main argument for Ronel Blanco is that he's just using it to grip the ball better, which has been done in the MLB since the dawn of time.
Correct.
Pitchers have always been trying to get a better grip on the ball. So as long as that spin rate is not jumping up like 300 or 400 RPMs, from what I've heard, hitters really don't have a problem with it. I think it's because he's an Astro that people are kind of coming down on him
Of
pretty
all
hard.
the teams for it to be, but we still have some more off the field stuff to talk about here. David Fletcher under MLB investigation. He was a former Angels player and teammate of Shohei Ohtani. What's going on over there? What's going on?
Well, apparently they were using the same bookie. Now, again, allegedly, Ohtani never made this bet, and he was theft.
Allegedly.
But I don't know about you guys, but for me, if another player is using that same bookie, Ben,
I mean, another crazy story. I mean, don't these guys know that they're obviously going to get caught? To me, it just doesn't make sense.
It's probably a little different because it's like illegal, so they probably have an idea of like, no, we won't get caught for that.
I mean,
but
you would
I don't
think
know.
that they would learn from Pete Rose.
I mean that's
Pete
a
Rose,
very
the
valid
poster boy.
point.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You would think, but here we are talking about it.
But no, I truly believe this is just more proof that Ohtani clearly is gambling and his interpreter's just taking the fall.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now let's talk about some on the field stuff. Shout
Hey.
out to you, Darvish. I just want to get that, make sure we talk about him. Absolutely incredible career. He's been around the MLB since about, 2012?
Yes.
2012. He had stints with the Rangers, Dodgers, Cubs, and has now been with the Padres since 2020. and he just had his 200th MLB start and is currently in the midst of a 25 scoreless inning streak. What a guy.
Yeah, I mean, great story to hear. Like you mentioned, 25 consecutive scoreless innings and his 200th win, 107 in the major leagues and 93 in the Nippon Pro Baseball. Is that how it?
Yeah, Japanese league.
Japanese league. Okay. So, and this dude, he was the third Japanese-born player to reach 200 wins between the MLB and Japan, behind Hiroko Kuroda and Nomo.
Nomo.
Nomo. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a classic. No, you're good. Nomo's
Yeah,
childhood. Like, he was one of the big Japanese stars that come over, played for the Dodgers for years.
Yeah.
Was very well known, and people my age growing up wanted to throw like him because it was just a wild pitching stance. But no, absolutely congratulations to you, Darvish, on that. Came over, has really always been dominant, and now he's possibly looking at a Cy Young award.
Yeah. Is he a Hall of Famer? I'm not sure what the gauge for a Hall of Famer is in the MLB.
If they ever start counting Japanese stats, I would say yes, but he's probably not "quote unquote" MLB Hall of Fame ready yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
my gut tells me no.
Okay.
I mean,
is he at least in the is there a conversation to be had about it, or no? Not even.
I wouldn't even lean full conversation. It's a little bit harder. Baseball's really, really tight nip with their Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, though, because I feel like this guy does deserve a chance in the Hall of Fame. I mean, and an interesting fact here, Randy Jones holds the record for 30 straight scoreless innings in a single season in the Padres franchise, set back in May of 1980.
He's on his way there right
Yep.
now. It'll be
I mean, he
interesting to
can
see
do
if
it.
he gets it. He absolutely can do it.
Yep.
But staying with the pitchers, a promising pitcher who might be a future Hall of Famer. This might be a little early for that, but Paul Skeens had a ballistic second game. Looked absolutely stunning in his first. Or he didn't look absolutely stunning, but he looked good in his first game.
Yeah,
he looked good in his first game. Solid. Then he said, "Hold my beer. It's time for game 2. Let me show y'all what this new car looks like, and give us some stats, stat guy."
All right. So Paul Skeens, second career start, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk in 6 innings, no hits, with a 2.70 in 2 starts. How about that?
Dude is phenomenal. I would already argue, and Garrett said it when we talked about him coming up, he might be a top 5 pitcher in baseball right now.
I believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
You need a bigger sample size for that, but yes.
He's ace caliber, guys. I mean, 2 starts in, and he's already proving that he can be an ace in this league. At like 21 years old. That's crazy.
And it's not even like, so the whole fact of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but both starts were versus the Cubs, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
So that means
That was the point I was going to bring up.
So he has faced the same lineup, and usually when you face a lineup a second time around, they're supposed to be able to handle you better and this and that.
Nah, not in this case.
He struck out 7 straight batters.
He figured them out. They didn't figure him out. He figured them out.
That's what I'm saying. And it was funny because they interviewed him after the game, and they were talking about it, and it's like, more when you put on film and everything else. Are you worried about the league adapting you? And he just basically said, bet. Just bet.
Exactly.
He's like, you got to figure me out, but I'm going to figure you out first. The kid is confident. He is everything I don't want in a Pittsburgh uniform, and he's in a Pittsburgh uniform. I can't wait for him to
I
come.
always forget that he is.
But I'll tell you what, man, when he comes to Cincinnati, the 4 of us are going.
Oh, for sure.
I'm there.
Yep.
I'm so there. Also, something I found out about him this week, I think it came out yesterday or something. I don't know if it's an interview or whatnot, but apparently he plans to enter the military after retirement.
Really?
Did not know that.
I saw it on like reputable sources. I kind of thought, that seems kind of fake. Like, let's just add to this guy being such a great dude. But it was on like USA Today or something, so I would kind of trust that. Fact check me on it, but yeah, he's
This dude's gonna become my favorite player.
So before he was at LSU, he was a member of the Air Force Academy. He played for their baseball team.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I don't know what military academy wise if you have to have like mandatory service. So maybe that's what he's talking about. Because if you go to Army, Navy, or Air Force, I believe you have to have mandatory service.
Okay, so he's not just off a whim like, oh, I want out of the good. Well, I mean, out of the goodness of his heart, obviously he originally.
I mean, he's still volunteering. Nobody
yeah,
puts a gun to your head and says, "Hey, you got to do
absolutely.
this."
Well, absolutely. No, just kidding. But yeah, so just what a great dude. What a great dude. Livy Dunn, I see why. But time for the triple threat trivia. I'm curious. I heard a little basketball teaser for this week's question, so hopefully I can get myself up the board here today. Or Josh will just keep winning. Do Josh things.
Would indeed be correct, sir. This week's trivia question focuses on basketball, and it sort of has to center around what the Timberwolves did in Game 7. So Game 7, they overcame the largest halftime deficit in a Game 7 to beat the Nuggets. My question for you three is, what was the record before that, and by what team was it held?
14?
I'm sorry?
14, like, well, that was the record
No.
beforehand?
No.
Is it 20?
There it is. I was waiting for it. There. All right, Josh.
I think you're just off. I think it was 15.
The new record's 15.
Oh, so then it's 10.
13.
Jesus, we're all getting done.
You're all wrong. You're all wrong.
Yeah.
12. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, -1.
All right.
You skipped over it.
13,
No.
12,
No.
11.
There it is.
Where's the sound? Yeah.
No, nobody's
All
getting
right.
points this
No
week.
point.
Okay.
No point.
However, we
points.
can guess teams though.
We guess the
Yes.
teams. So
Now, what team was
okay.
it held by?
How many? Do we even like? Let's do a year first. Let's hear a time.
I'm not
frame.
even going to guess year. I just got a team. Just team.
No. I'm
No,
saying,
don't-
can you give us a hint of like when this game was played?
Okay.
Well,
Like,
it's
was it recent? Was it long ago?
it's tied. It's held by the same team in 2 different years.
Wow.
This is,
I'm going to go Bulls.
I'm going to go with Celtics.
Took him a second to get that pulled up.
Where the okay?
Oh, he's
I
play-
lost,
he's
I
play-
lost the sound. I lost the sound.
Wait, did he get it?
No, he did not get it.
Oh.
Oh,
Who'd you say?
I said
He said
Celtics.
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 It was not the Celtics.
Nuggets?
It was not the Nuggets. The
Or-
correct answer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. all
No,
right.
he's not getting second guesses. Go ahead and give us the answer.
Okay.
What?
We got to move on.
Come on.
The correct answer is the Golden State Warriors.
Dude.
Of course.
That was the first one that popped in my head. Like, if any team's going to do it, it's going to be Steph Curry.
That was
But I
literally-
was like, nah, they never are behind.
I'm
That was-
assuming it was Curry and them.
That
It
was literally about to be my second guess.
It
Dang.
was
Should have
in-
gotten a second guess.
It was in 2018 when Steph Curry and Kevin Durant were on the same team. They came back from 11 at halftime.
I feel like there's been bigger halftime deficits. I don't know why. 11 doesn't seem like
Yeah.
like that's normal nowadays, I guess. But
Exactly.
anyways, moving on from
No
that,
points for anyone.
moving on from that abomination.
Maybe
of
he
a-
should get the. You know what? We'll add him to the list, even though it's a triple threat. If you stump us, you get the point.
Okay. All right. More work for me in Photoshop. Can't wait.
Producer has that power.
Producer has that power indeed. So now it's time for some NBA talk, though. We got the NBA playoffs, which are now moving into the conference finals portion of their bracket as well with hockey. And let's just go through the upcoming matchups that we have coming, talking about how they got here a little bit. So the Timberwolves have finally arrived. This was a team that for years, I tell you, oh, they got Cat, oh, they got Wiggs, oh, they got Zach LaVine at one point, oh, they got all this young talent, and they just never did anything. It was like finally Jimmy Butler poked him and said, all right, we're going to do something. And then Jimmy left, and it's been back to. But finally they're here, thanks to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. Ironically enough, the post-game interview with Kat and Ant was absolutely hilarious. Not sure either one of you guys saw.
I think I saw a little bit of it.
Yeah. Basically, one of the questions was, everybody always hears before you arrive, you got to have a tough loss to build you up. Kat looks at the announcer. He's like, we lost last year. And then Ant just goes, we lost the year before that. Kat's like, we have lost for 20 years. How much more losing do we need to do?
Yeah.
The characters that these T-Wolves teams have,
Yeah.
I love. It is great for basketball, and they're
Agreed.
Anna's going to become the face of the NBA.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, overall, great game. Like we mentioned before, 20-point comeback by Minnesota, largest comeback in the history of Game 7 in the NBA. And Anthony Edwards, he was struggling a little bit early, but he started to get his rhythm going in the second half. And interesting stat here, Denver, they outscored Denver 60-32 from 9:51 in the third to the end of the game. How about that?
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
How do you blow a 20-point lead at home? I don't even want to talk about it.
I mean, especially when you have Jokic and Murray.
But that's all they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Aaron Gordon needs some credit there. He's a hustle guy.
Game 7 didn't happen.
Fair enough. But Timberwolves, I need to give credit to Rudy Gobert. Honestly, I don't think they are making this run without him. As much as he was one of my more hated players throughout his early career, but at this point, he has shifted the culture. He's taught this team how to sit down, how to play defense, and without his size, he had a fadeaway jumper at one point. When have you ever seen Rudy Gobert make a fadeaway jumper from outside like 5 feet?
Want to do $25,000
Really?
off that shot.
Really?
Yeah,
I
because
see
he
that.
called the shot.
Really?
Literally predicted the shot.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Rudy Gobert hitting a fadeaway jumper. When I saw that, I was like, all right, y'all are cooked, Denver. Like, it is over. When he's in it with one of these, like, nah, y'all are cooked. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the Mavericks. They just beat the Oklahoma City Thunder to get here in a very well coached, well thought out series. At the end of the day, I feel like Jason Kidd's coaching is kind of the defensive schemes and whatnot was kind of what put the Mavs over. Their size kind of helped as well. The Thunder had Chet Holmgren, and he's not. He's about it. They were putting the Jalen Williams from Arkansas in there, so it was interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they address that.
Yeah, it's just a youth movement there at Oklahoma City. We just talked about Minnesota saying they need their tough losses. This is OKC's tough loss. They'll rebuild on it, and they'll be back next year.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you mentioned, they'll be back next year. Overall, great to watch this young squad this year. I mean, I feel like they proved a lot of people wrong from the beginning of the season to get to where they were now. I mean, unfortunately, they lost to Dallas, but just looking at Dallas here, Luka Doncic, he's looking like the Luka that we're used to seeing. I mean, there were some concerns where Dallas, they might be eliminated with him not being healthy. I mean, he hasn't played his best the last couple of times, and we've seen it through this series with the turnovers and whatnot. But like I mentioned before, he looked like the player that we're used to seeing. And I also want to give a shout-out to PJ Washington, NBA Cat.
I was going to bring those guys.
NBA Cat. I mean,
They're everywhere.
But Washington, he showed up big, especially from behind the arc, knocking down those big time threes.
He had been quiet in the early parts of that Game 7 and hit those very clutch threes there at the end. So it was very good timing.
Yeah, I mean, since he was traded from Charlotte, making the move to Dallas, I feel like we know who he actually is as a player, and he is a big time factor for this Mavericks squad. He matches up with Luka and Kyrie really well.
Yeah, I mean, he when you're over at Charlotte, it's hard to kind of gauge what kind of player you are because you're just out there putting up shots. You're not really trying to win games or anything like that. So once you get on a contender, you see what kind of player it truly is, like you said. Another player I want to shout out, though, Derrick Jones Jr. had an absolutely great series. Not an NBA cat, but an absolute dog. I think he also hit like a weird fadeaway or some sort of shot, and I was like, okay, he has that in his bag. Like, this is a guy who started out in the NBA as literally just a dunker. He was like Mac McClung. He showed up in the dunk contest, and that was the first time anybody had heard of him. Well, everyone knew Mac McClung, but for Derrick Jones Jr.'s case, nobody had heard of him until he put up some crazy dunks in the dunk contest. And just watching him evolve, I noticed that the Bulls is when his shooting really started coming to fruition, and I got to give a huge shout-out to him because he was the role player that showed up throughout the game. It does need to be talked about, though, Kyrie or Kylie, whatever you want to talk. He kind of looks like Kanye. I saw a picture where he looked like Kanye the other day, so you can throw that name in there. He had I felt like he played great defense. He passed the ball very well, but his shooting just was not there.
Yeah, but when you have the team picking up around you, it's okay. Yeah. He doesn't have to be that guy anymore.
I think he will be this series, though.
Probably needs to be for this series, but he might also be saving his best for the finals, but we'll cover that in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, last night wasn't the best performance out of Kyrie. Despite having 22 points, he was 9 for 23 and 4 out of 10 from 3. But good point there. I feel like he's going to have to step up in this series against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, he didn't have a bad effort. He definitely put in full effort and whatnot. Just the shooting just wasn't there. It just seemed like he wasn't trying to look for his shot. But enough about the West. Let's move over to where I want to talk about. The Celtics and Pacers are going up against each other in a series. I'll talk about the Celtics first because I haven't watched a game, so you guys might have a better input. This is what we expected from them. Like there was no point in this series. There's no point in the season where I doubted they would find themselves in the conference finals. It was just always about who they would play against. Were the Pacers a team that I expected them to play against? Absolutely not. And I was thinking more the Bucks or the Sixers or Knicks, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics are where they're expected to be and where they should be. Simple as that. Injuries piled up a little bit for Cleveland, but they were going to win that series no matter what.
What's interesting is, sorry, I'll let you go.
Go right ahead.
Donovan Mitchell, if he wasn't injured in game 4 or 5, I feel like they would have won that game and pushed it to 6.
Really?
That's all I wanted to mention.
Yeah, I mean, like Josh mentioned, obviously the Celtics, with their elite offense that they had all year, it was obvious that they were going to get by the Cavs. I mean, congrats to the Cavs on an amazing season, but yeah, it's a shame Donovan Mitchell was injured, and you make a good point there. Who knows? They might have won that game if he were to stay healthy.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Cavs here in a little bit, but Pacers and Knicks,
Go ahead.
that was such a great. Should I let you guys talk?
No, you just take it. I got nothing to say on this one. This is your team. Go ahead.
Boy, oh boy, where do I even start with this team? Miles Turner deserves Eastern Conference MVP. Tyrese Halliburton, he actually took some shots, guys. He took some shots. TJ McConnell should have a jersey hung in the rafters when it's all said and done. Shout out Pascal Siakam for teaching this team how to actually sit down and play defense. I remember a time when Aaron Nesmith was considered a bag of chips in a trade for Malcolm Brogdon. Give me Pacers in 7.
Fair enough. But, yeah, absolutely. Another crazy series between these two squads. I mean, everyone thought that the Knicks were going to pull it out because of that Villanova trio. I mean, arguably the best backcourt all season. But I was not sleeping on this Pacers offense. I mean, arguably the best offense, and also Tyrese Halliburton, one of the most underrated guards in my opinion. So I'm excited to see them square up against the Celtics and see how that offense is going to develop against the Celtics. But just going back to the Knicks here, the Brunson injury, I feel like that was a huge factor. I mean, Brunson, arguably the best player that we've seen so far in these playoffs. I mean, he averaged 33.7 points per game and had a 45% field goal percentage. So definitely a shame for Brunson and the Knicks, but overall great season by those guys.
One point I will rebut on that is, yes, Brunson injury definitely took the Knicks out of the game. Mm-hmm. However, the Pacers shot 13 for 24 from 3 and 67% from the field. I'm not sure how many games you lose shooting like that.
Probably none.
Yeah. 74% in the first half as well.
Yep.
So even if Jalen Brunson was in that game, it was a tall task because the Pacers were scorching hot.
But since we're talking about the Knicks, this offseason plan.
Yeah, let's get to some offseason plans.
Knicks offseason plan. For me, it's get healthy. One, their bigs were injured. Brunson was hurt, blah, blah, blah. But I also think I'm moving on from Julius Randle being my second best player and trying to get somebody else.
So you're talking about like trading him?
Yeah, trading Julius Randle.
That's fair because they look just fine without him. What I have as for their notes for next season is literally just pray to the injury gods and then run it back.
So would you run it back with Julius?
I would or I wouldn't. I wouldn't trade him for Donovan. I don't think he'll get. Or I would trade him for Donovan Mitchell for sure. I don't think the Cavs will take that trade. They don't need a Julius Randle.
Right.
So if the right trade comes up, yes. If not, keep this core intact. Julius Randle, Josh Hart,
Dante DiVincenzo,
Jalen Brunson. That core, if nothing else, they have a lot of chemistry, and I think that is something that to be considered in this offseason.
Yep. I mean, you guys make great points, but I'm interested to see what they'll do in this year's NBA draft. I mean, they could possibly get Kevin McCullough Jr., Justin Edwards, and Carlton Carrington, I think that's his name. Yeah, but honestly, I wouldn't be mad if they got rid of Julius Randle. I mean, like you guys mentioned, they played really well without him and didn't really need him, to be honest with you.
Well, ironically, you mentioned the draft. They do have 2 first-round picks. So you
Yep.
take the 2 first-round picks and you add Julius Randle with it. Maybe you can go get another solid 2 to build from there, or you sign Miles Bridges, who I'd love to see get signed there. Adding the other Eastern Conference loser, Cleveland, bring him back quickly. JB Bickerstaff, do you bring him back?
Yeah. I don't think Bickerstaff's the issue here. If there's a better coach out there, sure, but I don't think that was the issue with this team.
Ben?
I mean, I honestly wouldn't trade him. I mean, he's
Would you
fire him? He's a coach.
He's a head
You
coach.
can't trade a
Yeah.
coach.
would I fire him? My bad.
Yeah, good.
That's kind of tough. I mean, because they obviously made the postseason, so I wouldn't say fire him just yet.
And then Ben, throwing your way, Garland or Spider? Which one do you trade?
Garland or Spider? Oof. I would probably trade Garland.
It depends on who wants to stay. If Spider wants gone, trade Spider. If not, trade Garland.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it sounds like Garland only wants out if Spider's staying. And then here's the most important question: LeBron James go home?
Yeah. Let's manifest. I'd love to see LeBron back in Cleveland. Honestly, actually, no, I wouldn't. That'd be a challenge for the Pacers. What am I saying? What am I saying? No, stay over there. Stay over there. Do not come over here. Do not come.
I mean, I haven't heard much about the rumors of him coming to Cleveland though, but
Oh no, there's rumors.
really, I mean,
Brian Windhorst, LeBron's whatever,
Literally
they call
best
him,
friend,
servant.
basically.
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
to be honest, that would be interesting to see his return to Cleveland, see what he can do there at the end of his career.
And
Moving over to the Western Conference, though, we got the Nuggets. I say they need to figure out how to bolster that bench. Find some minimum players that need to prove it deals type stuff. Let's try to get a better deal next year. Find some of those guys for the minimum. Let's get that bench looking better. Run it back. You'll be back in the conference finals, the championship.
I mean, just looking at their draft here, it'll be interesting to see if they can get Dylan Jones. I mean, he would be a great addition for the second unit. He has a great IQ, and I'm also curious to see if they can get Cam Spencer in the second round.
It's going to be interesting to see where he falls.
Yeah, I mean, we all know him, two-time national champion at UConn. I feel like he'll fit Denver's playing style, and this past season averaged 14.3 points per game.
So I'm throwing this out here. Logan Fulmer from the Right Way Sports Network, graduate of NKU, put out an article this week talking about what's next for the Nuggets. So the option is obviously they got to have the choices of KCP, Reggie Jackson, DeAndre Jordan, and Holiday all coming back. 2 of them are player options, so most likely KCP and Jackson will be back. Free agencies threw out there were Tyus Jones, Malik Monk, D'Anthony Melton, or Mo Wagner.
I didn't realize Malik was a free agent.
I would love Malik Monk coming off the bench.
Exactly what they need. I mean, that's a 6th man of the year candidate coming off your bench. That fixes your bench right there, if you ask me.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that for sure.
And then 2 restricted free agencies threw out there, ironically enough. James Wiseman, add a little depth to Nikola Jokic.
Is he even restricted?
Yeah, he's a restricted free agent.
Really?
He is a restricted free agent.
That's surprising.
And then one that I know you want protected and probably don't want to go anywhere, but I'm going to just throw his name out there.
Do not.
I think he would be perfect to learn behind Aaron Gordon and Obi Toppin.
No.
Tell me it wouldn't be a good. Tell me it wouldn't be a good spot though.
Please.
Tell me that wouldn't be a good to learn
He's
from.
fine
it.
here. He's fine here.
And then you
No,
mentioned.
that's a good fit.
I mean, it's a young like
I
Obi
think
Toppin
the
reminds me
Pacers
of
is a
young
better
Aaron
fit
Gordon.
for Obi though, low key.
Probably gets more minutes.
Yeah, he gets more minutes. He gets more. It's a more fast-paced offense.
And then you mentioned obviously the draft. 2 names he threw out there for them were Tyler Kolek or Kyle Flopkowski, as I love to call him.
Good old Flop.
Yeah.
I don't hate those at all. Get some. But anyways, the OKC Thunder, the last team we have to talk about here. Is there really anything to talk about? Like just run it back, guys. Just simply run it back.
I'm trying to bring a veteran presence in.
Yeah, a veteran, strong, big. I don't know who that would be.
Jonas Volkanis.
Whew. Jonas Valanciunas.
Valanciunas, thank you. But would that not
Yeah.
Just describe what you need.
That is exactly what you need is Jonas Valanciunas. Bring him in. Let's move Chet down to the 4, put him in at the 5. Yes.
I mean, like I mentioned before, great season this year by the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, I feel like it'll be great for them to run it back again. And just looking at this draft here, they got the 12th pick in this year's NBA draft. I would be interesting to see if they can get Jared McClain, Duke guy. Shooting. He's a shooting weapon who can make shots off movement and can rebound for a guard his size. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pick him up. But I would like to see them add an additional big to their roster.
I'll throw out one quick name: DeMar DeRozan.
Ooh.
No.
No, okay.
I think you got Shea. You don't need another hand on the ball. I think you're putting too many hands on the ball there. So I would go for a big that doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands at all times. Not that DeMar does. It would be interesting to see him in that role, but yeah, it's not a bad fit. I wouldn't personally do it.
Right.
I would like DeMar in a different place, but that is all we got for the NBA. We are unfortunately going to have to. Okay, we do have some time for the WNBA actually. We got Caitlin Clark in her first week. That's obviously the biggest topic. She had a debut versus the Connecticut Sun where she scored 20 points but had 10 turnovers, a box plus minus of -13. Then she played the Liberty, had a rough single-digit game, had a nice 22-point game. Then last night, almost got the first win against the Sun again. I feel like it's just such a hard first 4 games for this young team.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlin Clark, I expected her to get off to a hard start, but at the same time, she'll have her moments here and there. I mean, especially with the turnovers. She had 20 points in her debut with a 33% field goal percentage, shot 36% from 3, and her next game against New York, she had 22 with a 52%.
No, there was a single-digit game in between there.
Oh.
She had like 9 points in the first game against New York. There was 2 games in a row against New York. She had 9 points in that game. They lost by like 40 or something like that. It was awful.
I mean,
and then 22 points after that.
Okay, so third game was
22 points.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Oh.
I didn't write the.
So you just ignored the.
Yeah,
the
I was just trying to talk more about the good, but but like I mentioned, 22 points, 52% field goal range, 40% from 3, 8 turnovers to go along with it though. So I'm not concerned with Caitlin Clark. I think she's going to develop great. She'll have to learn, but overall excited to see her.
However, let's talk about the one rookie who actually has a win. Angel Reese averaging 11, 8, and 1 over 26 minutes of play, and they got their first win, an 83-74 win over the Wings. Congrats to Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. She might end up winning that Rookie of the Year. I know I said Cameron Brink. Looks like it's taken a little bit for her to get
foul
going.
trouble for her.
Yeah, foul trouble for sure. Once she gets that figured out, though, that she's going to be dangerous. I just got to point that out. But, yeah, so that is all we got for the WNBA. I will say the Liberty, I think, are probably my favorite to win it all right now. They look absolutely tough.
Absolutely.
Breonna Stewart. They got like a 4-headed monster there. But time for the 2-minute warning. Josh, take it away.
Absolutely. So here we go very quickly. Colton, favorite Week 1 NFL matchup?
Give me the Bengals and Patriots.
Homer.
For myself, I'm going with the Ravens and the Chiefs. Both elite offenses. Cannot wait.
For me, wild card one, Pittsburgh Steelers, Atlanta Falcons. They're both my sleepers for Super Bowl representatives of their conference.
Not mad at it.
When will the Reds win a series?
More than likely, I'm probably going to lean towards the Cardinals.
Cardinal series.
Cardinals was the one I was going to say.
Well, boys, I got bad news for you. I don't see it happening until the Rockies.
Oh, boy.
Padres, Dodgers, Cardinals, Cubs. They're not winning them. So who will be the next driver to clinch a playoff spot with a win? For me, it's this weekend, Alex Bowman.
Whew, that's a great one. I got Kyle Busch. Give me Kyle Busch motivated from that All-Star race.
I'm going with Chris Buescher.
I like all those choices. And last but not least, since we talked about Kyle Larson earlier, will Kyle Larson complete all 1,100 miles on a lead lap, which Tony Stewart is the only driver ever to do?
No question.
I think he can do it.
Not only will he do it, he will win the Indy 500.
Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. So that's all we have for today. We are going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys it's going to be a little rocky next couple of weeks for the show. I'm going to get a couple clips, obviously, from this episode. But after that, we're going to try and pre-record a couple stuff. We're going to try and record something over in London. So just know what's happening the next 2 weeks is not necessarily the standard for the show. We'll get back to it, of course, and make it better each and every week. But we have a couple of different ideas because we won't have current show and stuff like that. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. That's why the next 2 weeks we are taking a trip to England and Scotland. We mentioned that a couple of times, but we're excited for that, and we'll see what we get out for you guys these next couple of weeks. Hope you guys enjoy. But yes, thank you guys so much for listening this long. Don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and follow on YouTube. Norse BW podcast on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Bill and NKU Media Services, for all that you do. Thank you, Garrett, of course, on director. We gave you a lot of power today, and I'm scared for my life, but I'm excited to see what will happen. And, of course, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Ben, for coming on and putting up with whatever I say some of these times. And, yeah, we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.